Thank you, Dr. Stan. And, it's a question that has been asked in the media, surprisingly so, usually from statements from people who want to make other people aware of the fact that it defies reality. As you said, how can you spend yourself into this horrible position and then expect to spend your way out of it? And the philosophy is basically Keynesian in nature, and that is last time around, during the Great Depression, we saw the Fed hold back on money during 29 and 30, and then realizing that they had not done the right thing, perhaps, they went in the opposite direction, but it was too late. Now, going into this one, this recession, which is now a depression, what they've done is gone full bore, hoping that the losses will be absorbed by those who hold dollars and by inflation, and they can ride their way through it. And I don't think it's going to work.
Well, of course,
throwing money at something that was caused by throwing money isn't going to work.
Well, I think the thing is that really my fear is they're going to end up destroying our currency. They're going to debase our currency. They're going to create inflation. They're going to steal everything that most people have worked their whole lives for. And the average individual has no idea what's really going on today. That's the trouble. And when you try to tell them, it's almost as if their minds have been taken over. And I really believe that most people are incapable of understanding what's going on because they've been intentionally and purposely and maliciously dumbed down.
Well, I agree with that. You know, I heard an extraordinary statement this morning that it was on one of those tapes on the internet. And it had to do, it's going to be in the next issue, incidentally. It had to do with a lady, whose name I can't remember, who said during the interview that she was a member of the Bilderbergers. And her husband is a billionaire.
All right, you held that thought. We'll be back here in just a moment with Bob Chapman, right here at Radio Liberty. Well, this is Dr. Stan here at Radio Liberty. Our guest is Bob Chapman of the International Forecaster. And Bob was just telling us that he had heard a story this morning of a woman who says that she was a member of the Bilderbergers. Her husband's a multi-billionaire. You have to understand that this whole movement is really made up of people who are fabulously wealthy, who want more than money. They want power. They want to rule the world. That is what has driven people from Genghis Khan to Alexander the Great to Napoleon to Adolf Hitler to Stalin to Russia to Chairman Mao. But now more than ever before is a chance to unite the whole world because the whole world is consumed in a financial crisis that is not going to go away. So what was this story you heard, Bob, about the woman who...
This woman was a publisher. And previously to that, she had been the president of Cott Bottling Company, which makes soft drinks. And so she was very successful. And she mentioned this, but what she said was that we could add $15 billion a year to the Canadian economy if, and get this, 40% of Canadians were not functionally illiterate. And she said, that's a fact. Well, in America, it's 51%.
Well, the most amazing statistic is that 50% of the people in the United States have an IQ of 100 or less. I'll never forget one time making that statement on a major radio program, and the host just went ballistic. How could you make that statement? And I said, very simply, because you have a bell curve, and 50% are on one side and 50% are on the other side, and the average is 100%. So 50% of the American public has an IQ of 100 or less. Well, that doesn't mean you can't have a lot of good common sense if you've got a lower IQ. In fact, I think we've got a lot of people coming out of college who basically are educated far beyond their intelligence. They've been indoctrinated in untrue things. They've learned history that has nothing to do with really going on. Most of these people really, of course, immediately just freeze up if you talk about secret societies or conspiracies, where, as there's always been a conspiracy against God, and that's what's really behind what's going on today. But the average person coming out of college believes in evolution. He believes that government can solve our problems. He has never, most of them, never actually had to get out and get dirt under their fingernails or work in the onion fields or pick crops as I have, and I'm sure you did these things too when you were young, Bob. They don't understand what the world is really all about. They believe that a fiat money system will work forever, but I don't think it will. What do you think?
I think you're right, and I don't think it will either. And but
hold that thought. We're going to bring our programs right to station back. Well, this is Dr. Stan, and Bob was just saying that this woman who was very, very wealthy, a member of the Bilderbergers, had said that up in Canada, almost 48% of the Canadians were illiterate. Well, I don't know. I think the Canadians maybe have a lot more common sense than a lot of Americans do, but because, of course, they haven't had it as good as we've had for so long. But I think the day of reckoning is coming for both the Canadians and the Americans. But you pick up the story, Bob. People get tired of hearing me talk, so you go right ahead.
Well, the significance is that you and I, and a handful of others, are not the only ones who have recognized that this is a real problem. And she cited it because she wanted to sell more books, contribute to the economy, and at the same time perhaps uplift the intellectual capacities of those who were functionally illiterate. There's a lot of people who have just been undereducated who are in that position who have higher IQs which would allow them to grasp much more given the opportunity. How many I don't know, but there certainly must be many of them. And so that's why the figure came up. And it's one of the reasons why you and I have such difficulty enriching people, because a lot of people just don't understand, even if we detail it, what we're talking about, the depth. And so when you've lost almost half of society, you got to really work hard with the other half to hope that they have the leadership and the understanding to help the half that doesn't understand. And I think that's what a lot of our programming is all about, reaching out to people. And, Stan, we're reaching them all over the world. And there is an awakening. And how many people out of that 100,000 that are going to London to peacefully demonstrate are from or being financed by the people who are having this meeting remains to be seen at the moment. I've been putting in the forecaster a lot of information regarding the demonstrations that have been going on in Europe, and particularly recently in England and at the universities all over the British Isles. There's an enormous groundswell of people saying, look, you people have made a terrible mess out of everything. There has to be a better way. And you want us to pay for the mistakes of the banking and brokerage industry, and we don't want to do that. And many, many people will be coming from that direction. That's what started the demonstrations and then riots in Greece and then throughout Eastern Europe, was that everything has been mishandled. And the second major item is, and in Greece it wasn't so much the killing of that young person, it was jobs. In most of these countries, including the United States, the young people between 18 and 25, and in Europe as high as 35 years old, have no chance for a job, or they're offered the equivalent of about $25,000 a year, and they've got 2 degrees or something like that. And that's got people really upset.
But I think, Bob, I think, Bob, if people really understood this whole thing is staged, this whole thing is created, you can go back and see how at every turn they have done the wrong things. These are brilliant people. I mean, the TARP funds were put out October 3rd of last year.